So you've been reading about GameStop, Wall Street Bets, and Tesla. You have a decent chunk of money saved up, but you don't want to blow it. Then you read something about a safer way to trade options. Little did you know that you can buy and sell options. Now, selling options is pretty great. It's a pretty safe way to make a good income if you avoid meme stocks. You can get a whole bunch more money selling options than you can if you buy dividend stocks. So where do you start with selling options? Well, you start with the cash secured put. The cash secured put is the first place to start. It's the first part of the wheel in the wheel strategy. This video is going to have everything you need to know about getting started with making regular income by selling puts and getting started with the wheel strategy. If you like hearing about making money, dividends, income from options, you should really subscribe to this channel because then you can watch a new video about these things every week. Then, if you appreciate the hard work I put into these videos, please hit the thumbs up button because these videos, they really take a long time to make. Okay, now there are basically two types of options, a put option and a call option. Then there are buyers and sellers of both. All the option strategies with the funny names like Iron Butterfly and Jade Lizard, they all are some combination of these four boxes. To make income from options, we need to be selling these contracts. We need to sell the options. Now, to sell a put contract, we act like an insurance company. We make a promise to buy these shares if the price drops below a certain price before a certain date. The certain price is the strike price, and that certain date is the expiration date. This promise is called the contract, and each contract is worth 100 shares. Imagine a stock is trading at about $65. We can sell a put contract for a $60 strike price, and maybe it expires in a month. And then we get paid maybe $100. So we keep this $100 no matter what. But now we have $6,000 held up by the brokerage until this contract expires. Because each contract is worth 100 shares, and we may need to buy these shares for $60 a piece. Now the month is over, and if the share price is above $60, we keep that $100 that we earned, and the contract expires worthless, and we can go do it all over again. If the contract expires below the strike price, say for $55, then we still need to buy these shares for $60 a piece. Regardless of how far the share price has fallen, that's the risk that we take when selling puts. But the good news is that because we're assigned, it doesn't necessarily mean that we instantly lose money. Remember that we had that $100 that we received in the beginning. That money still counts. So if we have a strike price of $60 and we earned $1 per share, these shares are only costing us $59 to purchase. That's our break-even price, is $59. So if the share price is about $59.50, we're still making $50 profit so far. So the share price has to fall from $65 to below 60 for us to be assigned, and then they still need to fall below 59 for us to lose money. Now, if we were assigned, then we just sell covered calls, and a covered call is almost the same thing, but now we make the promise to sell the shares that we already own if the stock price goes up. We have the shares for that $60 strike price. We could sell calls for a new $63 strike price and get income that way. Now, hopefully, we never have to buy the shares, but if you are assigned these shares, you should only sell on quality companies because you could end up holding these shares for a long time. Now, I think a benefit of selling puts over covered calls is that it keeps you focused on the income portion of it. If you're selling the covered calls, you still collect the income, but you might be worried about losing out on those gains from the share price rising and having the shares called away from you. Now, this is the reason that I think that you shouldn't sell covered calls on stocks that you already own. If you want to own and hold these shares do it for the long term. You should hold them, you should buy them and hold them and keep them, and not risk having to sell these shares over a covered call. If you bought some shares of Tesla 3 years ago and you think it's going to $2,000 a share, do you really want to risk losing these shares over a covered call? Covered calls should be used for stocks that you're specifically selling the option wheel strategy on. Now, the amount of money we receive when we sell a put, it depends on a few things, like how volatile the stock is, how long the contract will last, and how close the strike price is to the current share price. A Chinese electric vehicle company is going to be much more volatile than something like Walmart, so naturally we're taking more risk and we have to be paid more to take that risk. The closer the strike price is to the current share price, the more money you receive, and the further away the strike price is, the less money we're going to receive. Now, we measure risk involved in options with all these funny Greek letters, but the most common one is delta, and delta measures how much the options price will change for every dollar and change of the underlying security. Delta on puts, it's always going to be a negative number because it has an opposite relationship. If the stock price goes up, the value of the put option is going to go down. The delta on a put that has about the same strike price and the same share price, it's going to have a delta of about -50. This is called at the money. Then as the strike price goes further away, the delta is going to drop, and that's called out of the money. Another thing we need to know about delta is that it acts like the probability of a contract being assigned to you. A delta of 50 means there's about a 50% chance of these shares being assigned. A delta of 30 means that there's about a 30% chance of these shares being assigned. Now, we can make more money by selling higher delta, but that's just the same as selling closer to the current share price. And we don't want these shares assigned to us. Now, if we sell for a really low delta, then we're not making any money on selling these contracts. Now, the experts, they tend to agree that the right balance is about 30 delta. That's a sweet spot between the probability of being assigned and the income received. You're going to get the most money right at about 30 delta. Now, there is a time when these odds kind of go out the window, and anything can happen. This is during earnings season. This happens 4 times a year when the company reports their quarterly earnings. Nobody knows what's going to happen during an earnings call, so volatility goes up. And a company can report really great news or really bad news. So it might be a good idea just to avoid earnings calls when selling puts for income. And you can get into earnings plays, and they're a whole other subject on their own. But I just prefer to avoid earnings calls altogether. Options and leverage, they go hand in hand, but you don't need to use leverage when selling puts and calls. If you have the money available, your brokerage will hold the cash needed to buy the shares when the contract is opened, and if the strike price is $60, then your brokerage is going to hold $6,000 until expiration in case that you do need to take possession of those shares. When the contract expires, you either get your money back or the brokerage fairy will leave you 100 shares under your pillow at night. Getting started, just avoid using leverage. Then, if you think you still want to get involved with leverage, watch a whole bunch of Tasty Trade videos because they're the guys that developed the systems and the studies and the risk management rules. They even built the brokerages for options. So I think that's a pretty good basic rundown of put options. If you get any value out of this, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel for more videos every Monday, and I have a bunch of other videos on options that you can watch too. I think that's all I got for today. I hope you have a good day. Justin out.